Lord. It's all yours.
Okay, welcome to the Rotary Club of Kerrville. We're so glad to see you today. We have 39 participants so far, and it's just always fun to see everyone's faces. I'd like to ask you to each remember to check in on Facebook so that we can let people know that we're proud to be Rotarians and we're happy to be at our meetings. And we have Christy Vandenberg, who is going to pray on demand for us today.
You know, I make about 6 calls, and if I can't get anyone or can't find anyone to say yes, then it falls to me or Stockton. So I'll do it this week. Bow your heads with me, please. Father God, we are just so thankful for another day of good health, of this beautiful hill country that we live in. We ask you to be with our first responders and our military. Yes, we ask you to be with all the people who are right now dealing with the virus and trying to get their health back and breathe. Help us to breathe through you, Lord. Help us to go forth after this meeting in any way that we can to help our neighbors here in this community. We thank you again for everything that you've given us. It is just so important to say thanks. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, if you'll join me in the pledge. Can't tell if you can see it, but I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yay. And while we're waiting for Mike, let's go ahead and talk about a few things. Hey, Christy, I have an announcement to make. And while I'm doing that, do you think maybe you could prepare for the club runner demonstration you were going to give us?
Sure.
Okay. That will give us time to let Mike get online. So for Rotary announcements, we have just a reminder to pay your dues. We've sent out the invoices, and it's so off-putting to be away from each other and not have things as normal. So just remember to pay your dues. And I'd also like to share something with you. I don't think she's online, but I went on my weekend photo list. One of the things I had to do was take pictures at the Playhouse 2000's performance of The Outsider, which was really awesome. It was really kind of heartwarming to see how hard that they had worked, and they figured out a way where they could safely allow audiences to come in. There's only 30 people that are in the audience, and they're social distanced and they're wearing masks. But if you go, you will be able to see our very own Gina Daniels, that is performing. She's funny. Maybe you said her at Rotary and you don't realize, but she is really funny, and this is a really good play. So if you get a chance, they're doing it Friday, Saturdays at 7:30, and then Sunday matinees at 2 p.m. at the VK Garage Theater. So I just thought I'd share that with you because we had a Rotarian that is starring in it, and it's a very good play. They do a really good job, and it's just heartwarming to see some of this semblance of normalcy in a safe environment, and I was going to share that with you too. Is Stephanie here?
She is not online, I don't believe.
Does anybody know of any families and Rotary announcements that we should make? I would ask, I haven't asked permission, so I won't go into detail, but maybe I could ask that you guys all say prayers for Tim Kronwogie's mother. If you could just please do that. I think they would appreciate it. Other than that, I'm out of announcements. I don't know if we've got Mike up yet. Do we have him?
He just joined, from what I understand. I'm going to look for him here a minute, but
Yay. Well, then we can have Clint, if Clint's ready to do an introduction, and give Mike a little bit of time to get set up.
All right. Our speaker today has over 25 years of management experience in public utility administration. He currently serves as the CEO and general manager of KPUB. He is a licensed professional engineer in the state of Texas, has a Master of Business Administration from Schreiner, and a Bachelor of Science degree from Texas A&M. He is very active in the Kerrville community and currently serves as a member of the board of the Kerrville Economic Development Corporation. He is a member of the board of the Kerrville Area Chamber of Commerce and is actively involved in the local Kiwanis Club. So please join me in welcoming our speaker today, Mike Whitler, who will tell us about the May storm outage and how the KPUB responded. Mike, are you with us?
Okay. There he is.
I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yay.
Okay. Sorry about the confusion on this.
Just technology.
Yeah. So I'm going to try sharing my screen here, and we've got a few pictures and slides, and we'll see if this works. So y'all see my slides now?
Yes.
Sir.
Yes.
So Clinton asked me to talk about the storms that we had on the Memorial Day weekend, and really it was a series of events that gave us quite a punch. During that week, our customers saw more outage time than they had seen in the previous 4 years combined. And I'll just go ahead and start running through these. The first event we had was a storm on Sunday evening, about 8 p.m. A storm rolled through, and this is more typical of what we're used to seeing with the spring, with the spring thunderstorms. We had 3,000 customers without power and 60 outages. We called everyone we could in internal crews, and the crews worked throughout the night, Sunday night, and into the following day. And about noon on Monday, we had all the outages restored, and it was just your typical spring thunderstorm, lightning and wind. So you had a few poles down, like down or broken, like the one we had here, and then lightning causing fuses to blow and things like that. As we were wrapping up restoration efforts for that event, we had an outage at our stadium substation. The stadium substation is up on the hill right behind the football stadium. We actually had some relay misoperations, and we're still investigating the cause and the fix to this problem. But we had 3,200 customers without power for that event. And when we have an outage out of stadium substation, you have Sidney Baker out of power, all the traffic lights out of power, downtown, HEB. So it gets noticed very quickly. That one was restored relatively quickly, and we had power restored to all our customers by 1 p.m. What I know right now is that we had a relay that didn't operate quite fast enough, and the substation has between 6 and 8 circuits, so each one of those has a relay. Then you have transformers feeding those. Each transformer has overcurrent and differential relaying, so there's 2 or 3 relays and backups on each transformer. And then you go up to higher voltages, and LCRA has relays that basically protect the transmission lines and the transmission level voltage devices. So that substation probably has about 20 relays in it, and they all have to coordinate with each other so that you interrupt as few customers and as you isolate your outage to as small an area as possible and to as few pieces of equipment. Well, we had one relay that didn't operate fast enough, and when I say fast enough, that's a matter of milliseconds. And what ended up happening is LCRA's relays saw the problem and didn't see any other relay operating to interrupt that, and so they took the entire substation out. What should have been an outage for about 800 customers was 3,200, and again, we're still working on investigating that one. So then we got a low breather, and Wednesday came along. We had at 5 p.m. we had a contractor working over by the state hospital, I believe with a dump truck, caught one of the communication lines and broke a pole. We had 250 customers out, so we called quite a few people out, and we restored that outage in about 2 hours at about 7 p.m. Less than an hour later, the big event came, and that was the storm that caused all of the majority of the damage that we saw that week. About 8 p.m., we had about a quarter of our customers out of power. There were over 5,000 customers with an outage. And this is where we had the damage, where we saw most of our damage was around Trinity Baptist Church, back behind Walmart, and then also in the Kerrville South area down on Ranchero Road. I was out of town when this happened, and so those storms, I drove through those storms as they were coming through San Antonio, and about that time, our operations people were calling me saying, very early on, we're calling saying we need help here. This is a bigger event than we can handle with our normal set of resources. And so Wednesday night, our crews worked all night again. That night we had everyone that KPUB had available, and we had our tree crews. Before midnight that night, we had called contractors. And about midnight, I came in and met with our operations managers, and we made the decision to call other utilities for help. You make a call for mutual assistance. KPUB has offered and provided mutual assistance to other utilities, and this is where we normally it's a response to hurricanes, or that's what we've normally seen. And KPUB has responded to 2 of those in Texas and 2 in Florida. And we do it number one to help the other public power communities restore their power, and we do it number 2 for the experience. And so our crews and our operations people have had invaluable experience with these events and these efforts over the past 10 years. And I wouldn't have expected us to ever need to call for mutual assistance the other way, but having done that put us in a much better position to handle and manage all those resources coming into Kerrville. So we made calls to utilities in the Central Texas region. We also, this is late May, the electric utilities have taken a very conservative approach to COVID-19, and so we were trying to find crews that could work during the day and then return to their home to sleep to avoid as much as possible them, to avoid their potential exposure to COVID as well. We made calls 2 to 4 a.m. in the morning. The first mutual assistance crew showed up at 7:30 in the morning. We also had, and that crew was from the city of Seguin. And then we also, about that time, had contractors start rolling in. Our normal response effort, our normal response team, we can muster about 25 to 30 people for a big event with our personnel and our normal tree contractor. That morning we had an additional 80 to 90 people in Kerrville by 10 a.m. So literally a small army showed up to help restore these outages. And one of the big reasons that we needed the help is we had 30 poles broken, and over half of those were in backyards in inaccessible areas. So when you look at trying to bring in a 40 or 45 foot creosote pole through a side gate of a yard and carry it into a backyard, dig a hole, set that up and replace it, it's a lot of work. And we have one machine, we call it a backyard machine, and it'll get through small spaces and it can dig a hole and help set those poles. But we only have one, and we had about 15 poles that needed to be addressed with those machines. So Seguin brought one of those machines, Bernie brought one of those machines, Central Texas Electric Co-op brought one. We had a contractor bring two, and then we had ours. So we went from one of those machines to 6 of them. Our crews worked throughout the day. Thursday, this is the first crew that came in, so that's the city of Seguin. And then I mentioned the others, Bernie, Fredericksburg, Central Texas Electric Cooperative, all provided assistance. Here's some photos of the additional crews staged in our yard, and then some of the damage that we were seeing out in the field. Down here on the bottom right is a picture of one of those backyard machines. So it's on tracks, it's narrow, can get through a 36-inch gate. They typically will have a bucket, a digger, and basically like a small crane there, so you can do quite a bit with it. Thursday, we've got event number 5, so we had a second round of thunderstorms roll through, and this says 5 p.m. I seem to recall it being from about 3 to 5 p.m. That's fortunately, thankfully, that storm cell really, most of it stayed north of us, but we did get additional outages with that, an additional 1,500 customers. And I think at the peak of this event from Wednesday night, we had 300 individual outages. So that's 300 locations that our systems were showing, you need to go repair something here. You need to 300 places to dispatch people to do the restoration effort. Our crews worked until well, we had people working until 10 p.m. Thursday night, because our last restoration Thursday night was in the Trinity Baptist Church area, and we had a big outage there, and they had worked all day, and they stuck around to get several hundred customers there back on. Thursday, we kept emergency only staff on overnight to respond to calls from police and the fire department, and we sent everyone home to rest. At that point, contract crews had worked 16 hours, and most of our personnel had been up well over 24 hours. Friday morning, we were, Friday morning, we had the number down to about 1,200 customers out, 260 or 261 outages or events or locations to visit. The that Wednesday night storm, most of the damage that we had was from trees blowing down onto our lines and breaking poles. I mean, that was really all of it. The Thursday afternoon storm, the wind wasn't as bad. There was more lightning there, and those events. We pulled lightning data as well. There's to research some of these. The Sunday night storm had hundreds of lightning strikes in our service area. The Wednesday storm really actually didn't have as many. I think it was something like 1,000 lightning events on Sunday night and maybe down to 200 Wednesday. And I'll go ahead and move on. So Friday, again, our second day with the additional help. And by Friday evening, okay, I forgot about this one too. So Friday morning, we had a setback over in the Harper Road Junction Highway area there by Chick-fil-A, and what happened is there was a tree limb that had been broken, but was still up in the air, still up on the tree, and that morning it decided to fall, and so it took another line out, and we had our outage count jump up by 600 additional customers. So that took some time to find and troubleshoot. When we work outages, we work the largest outages first, and we work outages with critical customers first. In that way, we can get the most customers and most critical customers on as quickly as possible. So, so when this happened, it was a big outage again, and a lot of resources got pulled to work on that. In addition, we had dozens of people working in that area, and when you have an outage like that, you've got to stop and make sure that everyone is safe, everyone's clear of the lines, and so that created a pretty big headache as well. So that outage ran from about 10:15 to about 11:30. By Friday evening, we were down to 132 customers out from the peak of about 5,500 and from about 1,000 the night before. We released the majority of the contract line construction crews. We kept tree crews on through that weekend, and we had additional tree trimmers on for the following week working on repairing damage. And so when we oh, I just lost my train of thought. Friday evening, there was also a outage related to a house fire on Alice Drive. So there was another 20 customers that lost power through that night. Saturday, we declared power restored to all customers at 3:13 p.m. We still had customers that were needing to fix their customer-owned equipment before we could restore power, and we kept crews on throughout the weekend. We had personnel in the office, in the dispatch office, all day Saturday and all day Sunday to restore customers as they were able to make their repairs. So overall, according to the personnel we've got 2 guys out in operations that have been here for the 32 years that K-Pub has existed, and they, according to them, this is the worst storm we've experienced in our 32 years. We've kept detailed outage records for the past 10 years, and is by far the worst that we've seen in 10 years. And basically that week was equivalent to 4 years of outage time, or what customers would have seen in 4 years. All in all, there were 362 individual power outages that impacted 23,766 customers.
Wow.
Many customers saw more than one outage during that week, and we replaced a total of 30 broken poles. And our normal capacity for replacing poles is about 3 or 4 a day. You know, if we're trying, we can, you know, probably get double that done. But this, if we didn't have that help come in, we would have been working on this event for probably 6 days. Cost on this, we've received invoicing, and I need to go through some of it. I've seen invoices from 2 of the companies, and I'm expecting that the total invoicing from outside help is going to be somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000.
Wow.
So, and that's, I don't know how long y'all want me to talk. I've got one other non-storm related thing I can mention, but I'll stop for questions here.
Well, Mike, go ahead and mention your non-storm issue. This has been fascinating.
So we have a new program that we're rolling out this month, and it's a utility bill assistance program in response to the COVID-19. Most of the electric customers in the state of Texas, about 80% of them are served by investor-owned companies, and those companies are regulated by the PUC. With the COVID-19, for those companies, the PUC established an electric bill assistance program where basically all customers are charged a small surcharge, and then those funds are accumulated for people experiencing financial distress. For the PUC's program, they've got a company that already does low-income assistance, and so that company's administering their program and providing assistance to people who have filed for unemployment, who are on SNAP, or who are on Medicaid. I think those are the 3 qualifying deals there. So we're rolling out a similar program. Ours is slightly different. The first difference in ours is with the PUC's program, all customers are pitching into the fund, but only residential customers can benefit from it. So we looked at that and said that doesn't seem fair to the commercial customers. So we're kind of addressing commercial customers separately from residential. So we've set up this Change for Charity program, is what it's called, and residential customers will be contributing to a fund, and that fund will be used to help residential customers. And then separately, we'll deal one-on-one with commercial customers that are struggling to pay bills. The second difference between the programs is that ours is optional. So if a customer doesn't want to, can't, has an objection for whatever reason, they can opt out, but they have to call us to opt out. So initially, we're putting all our residential customers in the program, and basically what we do is round bills up to the next whole dollar. So on average, it's 50 cents a month. And then KPUB is contributing some additional funding to that, and we've partnered with St. Vincent de Paul to do the bill payment assistance. They already do utility bill payment assistance. They're already very good at that. They know what they're doing. They know how to qualify people. And they're doing it at no charge. So it's a great partnership. They're very interested in working with us on this. So that's a program that, you'll see bill stuffers on, might see on social media, and it's been fairly well received. But there are a few people that, you know, don't, you know, we've gotten a few grumblers about it, but basically we're trying to follow the Public Utility Commission's lead and implement a similar program. So that's what we're rolling out. We're still working on it, but rolling it out in July.
Mike, this is Doug Wintery, and I want to compliment you and your team for what you did over that week. And I just want to let the club know, several years ago, we had a K-Pub presentation at our club, and it was concerning rolling blackouts. And halfway through the presentation, the Inner the Hills got hit with a rolling blackout. I am so glad you did not bring a storm with you today.
We definitely don't want to see any storms. We've had our, you know, we've had more than our fair share of that, and like everyone else in the community, we're still picking up a few pieces here and there. So, and we have a great team at K-Pub, very dedicated employees, and those guys that work out in the field, I'll put them up against anyone in the country. They do an outstanding job.
Mike, you talked to...
You mentioned owner-owned equipment. I guess that's solar panels and stuff. Does it cause you a problem in getting the rest of the customers around that area back up if they're fail to repair their equipment?
The most common, the customer-owned equipment, it's typically the meter loop. So the meter loop, the main normally our very common service installation on a house is to have a breaker panel on the outside, and above it there's a meter can, and then you have a riser pipe with conductors in it go up through the roof or up on the side of the house, and a lot of times a tree limb will fall and tear all of that off the wall of the house. We don't maintain that, because you start getting into making repairs on the side of someone's house, and that gets tricky. So that's what normally happens, and there, I'm sure every once in a while something happens that creates problems for other customers, but 99% of the time we're able to isolate the individual customer and get everyone else back on.
Mike, on the stadium substation, you said you share that with LCRA. Do you have to maintain it totally, or do they share in that? And if so, why didn't they give you any support with lift equipment and repair crews? So we both own equipment in the stadium substation, and every substation we own, we both own equipment. We have an interconnection agreement that defines roles and responsibilities, and we very clearly define who owns what, so that there's no misunderstanding. When we have an operation in the station, it's always very clear who needs to do what. LCRA, for the stadium outage, LCRA responded with personnel, and they've been very helpful in our investigation of that event. The LCRA Transmission Services Corporation is the one that we deal with for the substations, and they really do an outstanding job. So they have been helpful, and they have been helping us. Now with they are available to help us when we need it. In this case, that small equipment we needed is not something that LCRA has, and so when we have something big, they're the guys to call. When we have something small, we look to other utilities like ourselves. Thank you.
Okay, Mike, also I recall that Allison explained that this was the first time in K-Pub's history to ask for mutual aid. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we've gotten help from our contractors before, but this is the first time we've had other utilities come in and provide assistance on the K-Pub system and to repair our facilities.
Well, thank you. And we really appreciate you coming to do this. We're sorry about the confusion on the link, but this is fascinating, as Clint said. And it's just amazing what y'all were able to do and by getting hit that many times and continuing to stay on the job. So thank you for all that you did and for sharing. I don't think people understood exactly what y'all had to go through. They just knew that their lights were out. So thank you for explaining how that was.
And I guess one other thing is that I didn't mention is we are meeting and looking back at that event and what went well and what we need to work on. So there's always opportunity for us to do better. We've got a punch list of 25 or 30 items that we're working on so that we can do a better job. One of the biggest things is communicating better. And so it's great that we have Allison on staff now. And we're working on putting processes in place where information gets from the field back to dispatch and back out to customer service and community, to community outreach areas. We ran into a few glitches with our computer systems. They'd never seen this level of outage, and so there are other things that we're working on that we could have had better situational awareness in our operations center during this event. So we're always looking to improve as well.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to do this for us. Christy, if it's okay with you, can we start our Club Runner moment next week? Christy?
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds great.
Great. Well, let's do that, and we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting. And I'm sure that if you sent Mike any questions that you didn't get to ask, he'd be glad to answer them for you via email. Okay, if you will join me in the four-way test. Of the things that we think, say or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And can we get away with it?
Thank you so much. It's so good to see all of you.
Bye, guys. Well done.
Bye.
Have a good afternoon.